pan-seared pork chops. I've got two delicious British pork chops there, about 3/4 of an inch thick. What's that, 2 centimeters thick, and they'll cook nicely, and the meat has to have some fat on it, so I'm not trimmed those chops, they're just as they come. They're rindless pork chops. Along with that we've got some garlic, that's 2 cloves of garlic. We've got 1 small carrot that's been chopped up, 1 medium-sized brown onion which has been chopped up, 2 capsicum peppers, 2 bell peppers, a yellow one and a red one, and we've got some zucchini, or courgette as we know it in the UK. That's a medium-sized courgette chopped up. For flavourings we've got some thyme, which goes exceptionally well with the courgette, with the zucchini, and we've got sage, which goes exceptionally well with pork, so that should be rather nice. And we've got some nice sea salt, and we've got some black pepper ready to go. Got some flour, ordinary all-purpose, or what we call plain flour in the UK, to make up the gravy with, and I've got a cup of water to make up the sauce. Over here I've got a pot with some potatoes in it. Let's show you that. Got some baby potatoes which are boiled up and ready to go. And here we've got my fry pan with a lid that is getting exceptionally hot right now, so all the action will take place in that. Okay, that is exceptionally hot, so I'm just going to sprinkle on about a teaspoon of salt. Use a good salt for this, don't use table salt, you need some flakes of salt, a little bit more perhaps. There you go, and that's now ready to go, and that salt is going to get exceptionally hot real quick. Once that's super hot, in we go straight away with the pork chops. Unseasoned, straightforward pork chops, and I just push them down in the corners. Don't want to be pushing down on that tender noisette there, that will ruin it. And the same with the other one, just lay it in, don't press it down. Just tap the edges. If you need to push it down at all, just tap the edges. Heat's on maximum, and we let that cook. These chops are going to go for about 5 minutes on each side. Maybe as much as 6 minutes on each side, but we'll watch and see how it goes. Alright, you'll see the heat creeping up the side of the steak, and the edges will begin to sizzle on the fatty side. So as soon as we can move these, they are ready to turn. Yeah, they're ready. Right, so I'll just flip those again onto the bare salt if I can, and then just push down on the edges to get that seated. I like to keep a pair of scissors handy so that when I get a corner like this I can just snip it, and then it lays down nice and flat once that's been done. And then just press down just on the fat cap. So just let that go a little bit longer, and I can turn the heat down now to about 2/3 of my original heat. So mine goes from 1 to 6, so I've turned it down to 4 from 6. Notice I didn't season the pork chops, they went in the pan without being seasoned at all, because there's plenty of seasoning going on in that pan. It's not ready to lift yet. I don't want to move just yet, so leave it, let it sear. I'm going to get in there with that again. I've just turned the skillet around so that I can get in and check this one. So that's ready to lift again now. So once it's ready to lift again, we turn it one more time, and then press down on the edges. Once you've turned them, the lid goes on and allow that to cook at 2/3 of your heat for about 3 or 4 minutes. So you'll see the steam, if you've got a glass lid like me, you'll see the steam coming up and then running down the inside of the lid as it precipitates, and it falls back into the pan, and that goes on like a cycle, the steam going up, hitting the lid, cooling, precipitating, then dropping back down the sides. So after about 3 minutes we lift the lid very carefully. I use it like a shield, let the steam out, and then take the lid away. And then I'm going to turn those one more time because this is pork and we can't risk it being undercooked. Lid on again for another couple of minutes, and we allow the steam to build up and cycle a few times. Alright, let's lift the lid again. Remembering, use it like a shield, let the steam out and lift the lid away from you. And these are looking really good now. So I'm just going to take those off and put them on a plate to rest them. Gorgeous. Right, into the fat. I need to put a little bit more oil. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of my garlic and rosemary oil. Use whatever oil you've got. So what, about half a tablespoon of oil. And then into that goes your onion. Your peppers. Give that a stir. You're still on 2/3 of your heat. In go your carrots. Get a good turn on those. Give it a good old stir, make sure everything's coated in the oil. And then in goes the garlic and zucchini, or courgette as we call it. And you're going to want about half a teaspoon of thyme, half a teaspoon of sage, dried sage. Use fresh if you got it, use fresh thyme if you got it. So half a teaspoon of each would be a couple of leaves of sage or a sprig of thyme. And we get that stirred in, and around about this time you will discover the most beautiful scent coming off there. Absolutely delicious. That thymy, sagey scent. Absolutely perfect. Right. Once that's all stirred in, you want to go in with about a tablespoon of flour, about that much. Dessert spoon of flour. And then we stir that in to mix. Make sure it gets coated with the oil. This is so easy to do, boys and girls. It is so easy to get right as well. It's not, the only way you can make a mistake is to undercook your pork. But if you do it as I just said, your pork will be fine. Alright, now we want to get in about half a cup of water, about half of our cup of water, and we'll get that stirring. And at this time we can turn the heat right back up again, all the way up. And as you stir, what will happen is the sauce will begin to thicken in the bottom. I'm going to switch over now to a flat spatula, and that sauce now begins to thicken up. Beautiful colourful dish this. Wonderful herbal smells. Right, I'm going in with some black pepper. I like lots, but you decide how much you want. and I'm not going to salt it until I've tasted that sauce, but I'm just going to let that sauce in the bottom there cook off a little bit first before I taste it. Otherwise I'll just get raw flour flavour. That's about right. Let's get a spoon. That's nice. Needs some salt. So I'm going in with about another teaspoon of salt. Maybe a little bit more. A bit more pepper, because I can. Now that's really starting to thicken up, see? So now I can go in with the rest of my water. So that's the full mug full of water. Right, get a fresh spoon, have a fresh taste. Oh, that's really lovely herbal flavours. That's really good. Now, what I want to do here is get my pork chops back in and on top, along with all the juice that's come out of them. Back on goes the lid. And we'll steam that for 3 minutes. Right, that's steaming away nicely for about 3 minutes. What I'm going to do now is have a quick look, remembering to use the lid as a shield. Let the steam off. And as you can see, it's cooking down really nice, so that's going to create a lovely sauce. The vegetables are still going to be nice and relatively crunchy. The pork chops are going to be cooked all the way through. Right, now that we've got to this stage of cooking, we can just turn it off and put the lid on. Once this cooking is done, now it's the time, if you want to trim off the fat from the edge of the meat. And then once this is cooled off, you can skim the fat off the top of the vegetables, off the top of the sauce as well. So I'm just going to put the lid back on that and allow it to finish cooking in the retiring heat, and then it'll be ready for serving. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to follow my channel, please subscribe and be sure to click the bell icon to receive notification of all my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.